In he comes.
Yes.
Good to see you, Purple.
Likewise, Jim and Bill and Rabsy, and
Hello.
looking forward to your chat with Aaron Cadman, because I think we might start there today with the positives.
Yes.
The 5 goals that he kicked and the 13 marks, alongside Jesse Hogan's 6 goals for GWS against Brisbane Lions. It's a good starting point for round 14 assessment, Bill, because they needed a win, the Giants. They'd had a lot of criticism heaped their way, and they were actually doing some of that themselves. But you look at the ladder now as it stands after that round, and they've beaten those top 3 teams. Strangely enough, they've beaten Collingwood, Geelong, and Brisbane Lions, the Giants, and clearly their best stacks up very, very nicely.
But they're so up and they're so down.
Yeah, that's what they've been all year.
Yeah.
But those 3 wins alone
exactly.
give them, I think, hope and reason to persevere, because we've seen in the past 2 seasons they have taken a while to get going in the home and away season. They fell short and, in fact, threw away 2 finals last year they should have won, and they've got a chance to redeem themselves. And all this happened without Toby Green, who was missed for another week too with what was a corked backside, and it was just good to see Cadman kick the 5 goals.
Well,
I thought he had a
Jason
really
Poor Pleasure sort of.
Has he got a cork bum?
I think it was a cork buttock. Yeah, it was a knee from a couple of weeks ago that got him badly.
I saw him out of the game, Poor Pleasure.
Porpoise,
Having those issues.
Damo.
Yes.
Lingered, didn't it, Jim?
Yep.
Yeah. And just back on Cadman, 30 goals last year, which I thought was a really good return for a guy who at that stage was in his 2nd season of footy. He's taken a clear another step this year again, and looking forward to seeing what he says when you guys speak to him in about an hour's time.
21.
He's from Dali too, is he? Yep. Yeah. Another. We'll stick with the theme of the big boys kicking the big goals. I love Mitch Georgiades' performance yesterday. 7 goals, 4. He could have had a double-digit return there, Bill, but I think he's had a really good comeback from a knee reconstruction. I know he had some big raps on him before that knee. I thought he stood up last year in that final that they beat Hawthorn in, the semi-final over there at Adelaide Oval last year. He's had a good season as well. He's got 32 for the year now, and was crucial to what they did. It's coming off their bye to win 2 in a row against Melbourne.
Spot on. Jezza 6, we love that.
We'll go there now, Bill. Yeah, the 6 goals that he kicked, and how that forward line is now functioning for the Cats. You've got Neil now, who has kicked a bag of 5 3 weeks ago and 4 on the weekend just gone. You've got Paddy Dangerfield, Jim, coming back into that and just playing a different role to what he was prior to the soft tissue injury he got. You've got Manor kicking goals. You've got Close. You've got Myers. You've got Stengel. And you've also got Dempsey, who I know steps up on a wing and will get himself into the back pocket to help out. But equally, he can and does effectively play as a forward. So they've got 8 players up there in that mix.
Who's happier when they kick a goal? Shannon Neal or Patrick Voss?
Patrick
Voss. Voss has got everyone covered.
They both get the big head rolling. I love it.
I tell you who else kicked 5 on the weekend, and both in a losing team, and actually beat Sam Taylor, which we have never said before. Yes. Logan Morris.
Good performance, wasn't it? Yeah, given he kicked 5 goals, 1, and that 1 behind only came very late in the piece for him. So when he had shots at goal, he took them, unlike his team. And we'll touch on them, Bill, in the negatives. But yeah, another big guy kicking forward goals. And then there's another guy who didn't get a bag of goals, but one who is just looming large every single week. And he hadn't played for 8 weeks prior to that game in question, Bill. I'm referring to Sam Darcy, 3 goals way back on the Thursday night against the St Kilda Footy Club, and 35 games of footy only, 58 goals only. It's his 4th season. Look, he is just tracking as well as anyone has ever tracked as a key position player. Yep. And Matty Lloyd
great to watch.
Waxed lyrical today about him, and he just feels he's almost unstoppable the way he takes the ball at the highest point.
How do you chop his arms? That's all you can do.
And they pay free kicks, and he's very good on the ground too. And as we've learnt to appreciate already, the left foot use he's got. It's almost a better kick, the way he can weight it and get through the traffic.
And got a bit of shoot in him, which is good.
Which I think is a big part of what he's about.
It didn't get the 10 coaches' votes.
Who did get them in that game?
Ed Richards.
Yeah, you probably don't. You can't argue that.
Sam Darcy 7.
I always lean toward the bigger guys and the key position players, but you couldn't argue what Ed Richards has done in that game and the whole season.
And someone else that we've been prone as an industry to putting SH1T on, Rory Lobb. has turned into a bloody good defender.
Really?
Jim, I think it's a really good point you raise, and I feel he's legitimately got himself into the All-Australian conversation. Yep. I know we're up to round 14 now, so that's a body of work that I think he can be really proud of. Yep. I mean, the guy that Bill just mentioned, Sam Taylor, clearly is still there. I think Jack Buckley, his teammate, is part of that.
Callum
Maybe
Wilkie's,
prior to the Bulldogs game, Callum Wilkie might have been even the favourite to get that. And you can't knock him off the back of one game. But, yeah, I agree. I think Rory Lobb's right up there. Yep. Caleb Sarong and Andrew Brayshaw, the combo that they have got for the Dockers, and particularly Sarong in this game on Saturday night against North Melbourne, he butchered the footy badly in that first quarter, but you couldn't question his endeavour in it. And then he just worked his way through that butchering to become a really, really important player. And he just never, ever dies wondering, does he, with what he leaves out on the ground, Bill? And if he didn't play on the weekend, they're not winning that game of footy.
Well, he got 9 coaches' votes. Brayshaw got 8. But they are up there every week. If you can stop those two, they don't go anywhere.
And that's
Dick
the
Tracy
thing,
was good.
when you've got the double whammy as they are, and if you now look at the double whammy component to Holmes and Smith at the Cats, you cannot stop both of them the way clubs structure and set up. And at best you can negate one of them, and you just got to hope that the other one doesn't completely cut loose, which on the weekend just gone, those four guys absolutely did. Josh Weddle, I thought he was Hawthorn's best on Friday night against Adelaide. Now, again, the coaches' votes didn't quite see it that way, but I felt he was there early, and I felt he was there when they changed things around after half-time. And it was like a soccer scoreline, wasn't it? 6-5, the way it played out. But they made changes in-game, and I loved it, and I thought it was a really important win for the Hawks.
No, it was.
In all of that
I
context.
got on the plane, and the Hawks players were on there.
Yes. How'd you go?
I was sitting just ahead of Mabsy Chol.
What time was that playing on Saturday morning?
I said to him, 6 o'clock or some bloody stupid time.
PM.
I said to him, Mabsy,
yeah,
they're not your conditions, Mabsy.
No, what did he
said? Oh, cold.
Cold.
And wet.
Yes.
But he was one of the players after half-time, Jim, who impacted. And I think
bloody important to what they do.
Yeah,
Big
he is. He took that really key mark and then goal in the third quarter when they needed to come back, and they did. So, again, he just made a few subtle changes, Sam Mitchell. He's like Chris Scott in that space, isn't he? He's prepared to make changes on the run. A lot of coaches just will back a system. He just abandons plans halfway through, and I think it's been a real key to what he's done in the past 2 years. And look, it was a hard watch for the neutral observer last night, Bill, at Optus Stadium, the Carlton versus West Coast game. The 7 goals that the Blues kicked in the first quarter, and then only 2 goals after half-time. They clearly changed what they were hoping to achieve out of the game after they established a 40-point lead, which they effectively kept right through to the end. It was 34 officially, but a few injury concerns out of it. Curnow obviously was taken out of the game, and as we talk this afternoon, they are yet to... It's a calf strain, and one that he hasn't had before, and he's a little bit unknown about it. The problem they've got is clearly Harry Mackay not playing now as well.
So he didn't play last night, did he? Hurt his knee last week.
And there's some doubt now as to how that looks for him. So clearly Mackay's highly unlikely to play this particular week, and maybe for some time beyond that. But at Curnow, we just don't know whether he's going to be right, and there's often an injury cloud over him. But he... he's also in that space. And just one more on the injury. Sam de Koning, Bill, from the Cats.
What are they saying?
It's going to be a longer-termer one.
What does that mean?
Oh, well, you never know with footy clubs, do you? But he's not going to be back quickly.
Is it going to be 4 or is it going to be 8?
Probably closer to the 8, I think, at this stage.
Not sure. Righto.
Yeah, with the shoulder that he copped. So, again, hopefully it is closer to the 4, Bill, but it could be that longer term. And I think he's had a good season after a slow start. He needed some time to get back into the vogue, but did.
Negatives next?
Negatives
and
next.
Bus?
And Bus.
And Bus.
Oh, Bus.
More with Damian Barrett next on Triple M's Rush Hour. JB and Bill.
But before we get to negatives.
Yeah, just a couple of things. Josh Marnie, who'd been at the AFL for a couple of years in the footy operations department, has chosen to leave, clearly on the back of Greg Swan and Tom Harley coming into operations.
Did he leave or he got pushed?
I think the official line is Bill. He's just choosing to look elsewhere, and you can understand why, because he has clearly gone down the rung with Greg Swan coming in to oversee that portfolio with Laura Kane to his right or left as an equal, and then there down the rung, obviously Josh Marnie, who had a lot more responsibility about 18 months ago, was down that rung.
I've got a conspiracy theory, and we all love them, and this one's done the rounds over the weekend.
Right.
You would have heard it, Damo, that the AFL scheduled a mid-June game in Tassie to prove how cold and slippery the conditions are down in Tassie mid-June. Hence, you need a roof on a stadium down there.
Yeah, you could be right.
Well,
in
was it
thinking,
5-6 or something?
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
I think the AFL has been sort of that much playing catch-up footy that they wouldn't have actually been across that bill to actually plan for that. So,
but there's
I
never
think
been
it's just a coincidence.
A Friday night down in Tassie, has there?
I can't recall a Friday night one.
In Bell Reeve.
Yeah,
North Melbourne played Richmond.
Yeah.
That was the official coldest game of football ever, and this was the second coldest.
Yeah. So,
Interesting.
You could be onto
All
something,
right,
Bill. And
Fats
that
on it.
has no. That's not any closer to, by the way, with the
I
developments.
pinched it off someone.
Yeah, you would.
No, we
Yeah.
know that.
Did you see the
Don't have to
legs?
explain that to
No,
us.
no,
We know
you
exactly
never
what
had
happened.
any
Never had an original thought.
In your
Well,
life.
I've got one now.
What is
Right,
it?
go
I
on.
was watching Port Adelaide yesterday, and this bloke's running around with one leg. I thought he had one leg. He's got a leg sleeve on. His name is Manny Liddy.
Playing his first game.
Playing his first
and
game.
did okay too.
Mid-season draft pick, and he had a bad infection in his knee. He's got the whole sleeve down the leg. It looked quite.
So it's not going to be a permanent thing, just
Well,
while
I
he gets
think
the
it is. I
infection.
think he's
What,
been playing
forever?
over there in the Sandful with it on,
Right.
and he's going to play. You'll notice it when you see it. The old leg sleeve guy.
I did notice it too, Bill, and I had to look twice when I saw it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway,
That's
keep
his
going, Purple.
original thought.
Yeah,
Leg sleeve
that's
guy.
it. Leg sleeve guy.
Leg sleeve go. One more outside of the negatives. Jamarra Ugle-Hagan back at the Bulldogs today.
Wow.
He's not. I just cannot see a scenario where he ends up playing for the Bulldogs again this
Right.
year.
This year, he'll play. If he shows a bit on the, he's bloody
Bill,
fit.
there's a lot of relationship damage to be worked through.
So why is he going back there then?
I think he's gone back to realise he's a footballer who's got a contract for next year, but I would be very surprised if
Wow.
that's at the Western Bulldogs. And look, there's a runway long enough now for him to maybe have a 4 to 5 week block of training and to then possibly be considered for a VFL hit out. And I think that would suit all parties to have him back playing footy, to then in the exchange period to present to the other clubs as options, as someone who's got his fitness and maybe life back onto a football track, because it hasn't been that way for personal reasons that we've now discussed regularly in 2025. Negatives, I'm going to start with Melbourne because I wanted to embrace what they were about in the off-season, and even I wanted to embrace what they did on King's birthday against Collingwood, but they dished up a lacklustre performance, I should say, against Port Adelaide, and you get to end of round 14 and they're 5 wins, 9 losses. Yet again, for the 9th time out of 14 matches this year, they've kicked more behinds than goals, and this has been a problem since basically the 2023 season. They lost 2 finals on the back of, 7 goals 11 against Collingwood, and then 9-17. That's going back a long time, but I raise it in the context of nothing has changed in the time
You
frame
know what
since.
it is? Groundhog Day.
Yeah, it is, Bill.
It is.
That's exactly what it is.
They win
Yep.
the clearances, they win the inside 50s, they have more scoring shots, but their kicking from that midfield, boys, is terrible.
Yeah.
And hasn't improved.
No, it hasn't, and it's just an ad on repeat. Simon Goodwin
Frustrating.
post-match. So ordinary performance. I'm not yet as down on the Lions as some are, but they have only won 2 of their past 6. There's a draw amongst that. They've only won 4 of their past 9. The most recent loss, as we discussed before, was against GWS at home, but they do still sit 3rd on the
This
ladder.
Friday night,
Friday night, big game.
down in the Cattery.
Big game against the Geelong team.
Danger's
that's down there.
350. That's a bloody good effort. So he's what? Premiership player, Brownlow medalist, 3 best and fairest, 8 All-Australians, 350. Will he play 400, Damian?
Damien?
400.
Damian?
No.
2 more years.
If he plays finals this year, he might only need 2
360.
more after this, mightn't he? Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's not. Look, recent history says he misses somewhere between 3 and 8 or 9 in a
been a very
season.
good
So
player.
no, I'd say no, Bill. But again, the celebration should be big for him, and he also thinks
Bloody
he should have
oath
a.
it will.
He also thinks he should have a Norm Smith medal too.
I actually happen to agree with you.
Yeah, I did too. you cannot argue that. Just on the Lions too, Jack Payne going down for a season-ending left knee injury.
that's a shame.
It's a shame. Yeah, they've got back up in the journeyman sense in Darcy Gardner and also Tom Duday, who's yet to play.
Yeah.
The journeyman sense. Purple's just branded him a journeyman.
Well, is that fair to say? Is that harsh?
He's only been at 2 clubs, hasn't he?
Who, Darcy Cameron?
Gardner.
Darcy
Gardner.
Gardner.
Yeah. I mean that.
Been a good player.
Ryan Lester.
I'm not sure it's a
Ryan,
term you'd want to have land on you as a sportsman.
Well,
a journeyman.
Jim, he was about to play VFL on the weekend, and they took. I mean, he wasn't in the team, but he's got a chance on the back of this.
Purple, I like you being strong, but
I don't look at it as a nasty word. Well, I think
Their
Ryan
media
Lester.
manager loves the show. He'll hear that.
old journeyman.
I think Ryan Lester was in that category, and look what he's done in the past 3
So
years.
Duday's close, you're saying?
Yeah, he is. Yes, he is. And again, as we know, he suffered a third knee injury at the Lions without playing a game for them. So, yeah, it's why you draft people like
Darcy
him in.
Gardner has been at the club since 2014.
Well, that's what, 12 years, 12 seasons.
It's not a journey. It's not a journey, man.
The 12-season player.
And only one club.
One club.
I don't look at it as a
He's
negative
taken
word,
one
but if you want to
journey
go
from
down that
Geelong to
far.
Brisbane and stayed there.
From Queenscliff. Yes, the Cooters. He's from the Cooters.
He was playing VFL without this
Damien,
absence.
you might have got that one wrong.
Now,
Just say
Damian,
it.
I've got a question for you.
Have
you got more to do?
If you want me to, but
All right,
sure.
no,
Let me
well,
answer you. St Kilda's a bit of a worry. They've lost 7 of 9, and the other problem for them is that Max King, who they said was injured in the off-season and would have been still in the running, according to the club, for round 1, has not been seen and is now in serious doubt to be seen this season.
All right, so we had the Hall of Fame last week.
Yep.
And I think everyone agrees that Gary Lyons should have been in the Hall of Fame 15 years earlier than he actually now has been. I mean, better late than never.
Yep.
Am I right in hearing that Dustin Fletcher is not in the Hall of Fame?
I think you're right. Yeah, that he's not. Yeah.
400 games,
400 on the knock.
94 and 2,000 flags.
Yes.
2007 All-Australian, best and fairest in a premiership year. How is he not a Hall of Famer? I mean, that is a disgrace.
Yeah, the other one that gets thrown up a lot too, and I think is a valid case, a really strongly valid case for Alistair Lynch to also be added to
Another
that.
one.
And if you want to then just do it on
Sav
pure
Rocker?
goals kicked, Sav Rocker, every person above him on the all-time goal-kicking list is either in or will be in.
Yep.
And those even immediately beneath him are in as well.
Well, Purple, you run the bloody AFL, so
I do
those
not, Jim.
3 blokes next year should all go in.
Yeah,
No,
well,
no,
Terry
no,
Wallace was
Fats
in that
actually- look,
category too.
Fats pointing to himself.
98 games, 441
No.
goals. Damo,
Probably
can you-
contributed more outside of football.
was very good there.
Didn't really contribute at all.
You nominate me next year, Dame.
Okay,
Damien?
I'll ring Patrick Keane, who heads up the
I think Dustin
committee.
Fletcher's a fairly long way ahead of you.
I kicked 5 on him one night.
Oh,
Took him to
Did
the
you?
cleaners, yes.
And you got 11th in the Brownlow one.
yeah, 11th, and he said 4th. Now, buses?
Yeah, we've got him
buses.
back. It's going down there. Oh, it's still sputtering.
Damo.
Right.
Sounding a bit like the club I'm going to send the bus to, the Melbourne Footy Club. It's
Oh,
either we'll
yes.
put a little minivan out at Casey,
Right.
and we'll have the bigger one up on the in the car park there at
Shuttle bus.
at Gosh's Paddock Bill because there's just something not right about that footy
I'm
club
with
at the
you.
moment. Yeah.
There's no love. They keep talking how
And
much they
connection.
love each
Yeah.
other and connect.
And my sort of knowledge of people who tell you about certain
that's
qualities and
right.
words usually don't have them.
That's the
So,
opposite.
Yeah, love and connection were the off-season words.
Poor
and-
old Darcy Gardner.
The journey.
One club.
Landed and branded a journeyman.
Should I have used veteran rather than journeyman?
veteran.
Yeah, okay.
I reckon.
I'll take journeyman back. I'll make it veteran. I like him, by the way.
Good to see you, Purple.
Likewise.